Hi everyone, thanks for coming back after lunch and resisting the pull of the sunshine. I know it's very fleeting in the UK, so we'll try and make sure you've got the value from this session as well that you want to get. My name is Matt Andrew, Mark on the brain, but Matt Andrew, I'm one of the partners at Ekimetrics. We're a global data science services business. And for the last 16 years, we've been working with clients, supporting them in their marketing optimization efforts.
Hi everyone, it's really nice to be here with you today. My name is Filina Spanodimou and I am the Marketing Mix Model Program Lead for GSK Consumer Healthcare.
So we're here today to talk to you about in-housing marketing mix optimization. Hopefully that's the session that you think it is, because that's what we're here to talk about. We're going to answer some of the critical questions around when you might want to start that journey, and some of the routes to success that you can take. It's not a one-size-fits-all journey. There's definitely many different ways you can go, and some of the pitfalls that you can avoid at the beginning, and the realizations that you might need to take before you even start about what that journey really entails. So for those that don't know, just a bit of a background on kind of marketing effectiveness in a broader space. There's three real models that exist for running or leading these efforts within big brands. Historically, the normal route has been through a partner, either a specialized business like Ekimetrics, others in the market, or through your media agencies with their analytics teams. But more and more what we're seeing is that there's newer models emerging where businesses are actually looking either to hybridize, where they want to take certain parts of that process in-house to make it more of their own capability, or even to fully in-house it and really build up the expert teams internally so that they fully own and control all of those elements. More and more, especially as we're seeing some of the changes to cookies, and I'm not going to say that again, so this isn't about cookies, but more and more as those are disappearing, there's more reasons why brands are looking to in-house parts of that as well, and also other reasons why hybrid options can be the right route to take, because normally around the expertise that is needed to run some of these, to keep them evolving and to keep tackling new channels that emerge along the way. So why are organizations considering, why might you be considering to bring some of those capabilities in-house? The first is privacy. So as more businesses are looking to move from just business outcomes in terms of how do you drive sales, how do you drive volume, into more customer outcomes. So how do I drive new customers to my business? How do I drive high value customers, etc.? You start to get into much murkier waters in terms of the privacy of the data that's concerned in making those decisions. So if you're running your process in-house, if it's using your own data and it's not going anywhere else, then privacy is really secured at the heart of the solution that you have. The other element of this is ownership and control. In a very fragmented landscape as well, lots of different providers doing lots of different parts of the analytics journey. If you can bring that internally and you own that full end-to-end pipe, it brings a lot of capability internally. And also when it's something like marketing effectiveness, which is a very holistic solution covering the range of business drivers that affect your business, actually when you take that ownership internally, the processes and the things you're building to facilitate a full marketing effectiveness program actually can be used for other types of analytics as well. And so you're actually increasing the broader capabilities of the business by doing that. Another big element is the transparency. So one of the barriers to a lot of partner-led expansion for marketing effectiveness has been scale can be difficult and scale can be expensive if you're using an outsourced partner. Some of the solutions that exist in the space have really been relying on machine learning or artificial intelligence to basically pull people off building the models and actually make it more automated and easier to scale. But what you get in that is a trade-off in the transparency that you have behind the process and what's going on in the models themselves. If you are internalizing and you're really seeing under the hood of everything that's going on, you have full transparency about the whole end-to-end process and everything that's going on behind the scenes of the models as well. And then finally, you have a lot of agility to respond to the changes in your business, to respond to new challenges that emerge, to new channels that you might be activating in. And really, the program can be flexible and meet the changing needs that your different markets and different brands have around the world. But to make anything like this happen, you really need this strong data as a foundation to the whole capability. Again, if we're talking about marketing effectiveness in the round, it is a very holistic program. It's really capturing not just the internal things that you're doing and your marketing activity, but external drivers, competitor effects, etc. And that's a lot of data to feed into that, and you really need to build up your data capabilities at the beginning so that you can really then start and scale that program.
And we at the GSK have started on this journey, so we are in the process of internalizing part of our marketing mix modeling program. And as we were doing this, as we were planning for this work stream, data was the first thing on our mind, the focus point. So we really asked whether we have access to the data that we need, especially the most important elements like media data, like retail sales. The reason that data was the focus is that data collection, data manipulation is one of the most challenging and time-consuming parts of the process. So it was really evident from the start that it should be a focus area for us to in-house. So when we thought about access, the answer was not a clear yes or no, and that's fine and expected. So this led us to the next question, which was about what type of support we need. So building this type of capability needs a lot of collaboration. So what we did is that we reached out to our colleagues from the data operations team, from the data science team, to leverage their expertise and also see if there are any other data products that are available and we can use for our purposes. Apart from data, apart from support, another big question for us was whether what we wanted to create makes sense and how it aligns with business priorities. It doesn't make sense to create something that no one needs or no one will use. So we wanted to make sure that what we build will bring value to our global teams and our local teams as well. And in doing that, we were always mindful of the impact that this will have on their workload. So a lot of times in-housing something might sound like adding a lot of workload to teams that are already really stressed, getting away from using partners to using the internal resources. So we are trying to find the balance as we go, when we started and as we go, between the effort from the global team, the team that is leading the project, and the local teams that are the actual users of this. And we also saw the benefits of this approach. And for us, the most important one was agility. So in-housing part of the process really allows us to be flexible, to have quicker and frequent understanding of our marketing performance. And by having that, we really do give our marketeers the tools they need, the insights they need to make better decisions and to optimize their investment. And we want to do this for as many marketeers as possible, in as many brands, as many regions as possible. So another benefit was definitely lowering the cost in some of the elements so that there is more room for the points that really drive value with our teams, like analysis. What also we wanted to have, and we are having through this program, is greater control over our deliverables. So now every deck that we have, every dashboard that we have created or what we plan to create, we can ensure that it speaks the GSK language, that it is tailored to meet the needs of our brands, that it can adopt according to their needs, and that it is consistent. And this consistency makes it really easy for us to share the knowledge and share the insights across different teams. So any best cases, any best practices can be shared, can be communicated really easily by outputs that everyone can read and know how to read and understand. What we are doing is that we are following a hybrid approach, and this was actually a big point coming up from the discussions that we had with our marketeers and the brand teams. So we have picked and chosen the areas that we are going to internalize, but we are also still keeping our door open. We still have access to experts to leverage their expertise and leverage their expertise to become better at what we do.
So you might have decided that this is a journey you want to start, but how do you choose the right path to actually begin building that capability and then scale it into something that ultimately covers the global scale of your business, as well as all the depth and the diversity of the drivers that you have to understand? And you definitely can't start at the top right-hand corner. Like there's a lot that goes on to build these capabilities from the beginning. And if you go for both scale and depth at the same time, it's gonna take a long time to get there. And it is a real journey to think about. So what we've seen is that there's two main models that you can think about. One is where you first start building scale, but at a narrow layer of what you're optimizing against. So what I mean by that is you might say, we just want to focus on media. We don't care about promotions. We don't care about in-store or shopper. We do care about it. We want to get there in the future. The main focus for us to optimize right now is media, and let's get that right. And we know that we can pull our data in because we have one aligned global media agency, and they can feed the data through in the right way. So let's scale quickly across countries, and let's build that optimization across media, and then let's build the data and people processes to make sure that we can bring in new drivers as we go. The other approach that you can think about is where you actually build full automated depth of data. The automation is important because that's a real key driver of scale, is that when you have so many different data sources feeding into a program like a marketing effectiveness program, you really need the automation to be at the heart of any efforts to scale. So if you start in a few narrower markets, but go through that full journey of automation across the full range of the drivers that you have, that is another route to starting and then templating the path for how you move ahead. And ultimately, what you're looking to do, what most businesses are looking to do is to scale and to get the full depth of analysis with whichever route they've started from. They're different. The way you grow and scale those is different because clearly they're very different starting points as well. So what is the path to scale and depth? From our experience and what we've been working with across our clients, when you start at scale from many markets, but with a narrow layer of automated data, you're really thinking about an iterative build of people and data processes through each refresh. So say one of the main goals has been to get, instead of annual media optimization, you're going for something that's quarterly or monthly or even more frequent. You've built your automation at that level, but each time you do that update, each time you go through the process of collecting all the other data, you're building on the processes that support that so that you're moving closer and closer to automation. And as you do, it means you start getting this stepwise increase in your analytics power because you're adding more and more drivers into what you can manage. With that second route, where you start with a few markets or one big market that is really important for you to win in, what it lets you do is basically build this template for the data assessment and the integration processes. So you're really discovering a lot of the challenges that you're going to face along the way, the challenges that might exist with common vendors that are across other markets. And it means as you go to those new countries and as you look to expand, you can kind of pick up that template, drop it into place, and you already know some of the challenges you're going to come across, and you've already experienced how to tackle them and how to move past them in the best way. So some of the questions to help you assess whether this is even a route that you want to start down, whether internalization in whatever form, hybrid or fully in-house, is something that would be relevant for you. The first is to ask and understand, are we really ready to start on a multi-year roadmap? Clearly, it's different if you're a single brand operating in a single market, the journey is shorter and it's not as long. But if you are a multinational, multi-brand organization, this isn't a quick journey. It's not something that you can do in a few months. It really is a program of change over time, and also a program of adoption with your marketing and other business stakeholder teams around the world. So you need to understand that this is something that is a journey. It will take time, and the results aren't going to be immediately obvious. So you need the organizational commitment to buy into that. And that also then comes from, do you have the C-level endorsement to actually see that journey all the way through? It's not something you can start at a mid-layer of management. You really need the top-level organizational buy-in to commit to that change, to make it happen, and to push adoption of that process through the business.
Other questions to ask is, first of all, if there is experience already with marketing mix optimization in the business. If MMM is something that the teams know, they accept, they know as a way of measuring the marketing performance. It can be argued that if marketing mix modeling is something relatively new, a way to measure that it's not yet well known, then it might not be the best next step to internalize part of this process. And then it's also about the current level of data maturity, whether as organization there is already some type of access and some type of understanding of the data that are needed for this type of analysis and exercise. And lastly, of course, because this is a big project, this is a big investment that has to be done up front, it needs to make business sense relatively to the marketing budget. So it has the marketing budgets need to justify this level in order for this to be cost efficient and be big enough to justify this journey. But apart from data, apart from support, apart of these factors, there are some other really crucial factors that can mean success for this program. And the most important one is getting buy-in, getting support from senior leadership. So as we continue, as we have started, we are in this journey about a year now, and it's really obvious that it needs a lot of input, a lot of collaboration from different markets that have different priorities. So getting sponsorship, getting support from the executives can really drive this initiative forward. Another focus area for us is having a very clear channel of communication with our end users. So we are driving this as an analytics community within the organization. However, the benefits of this will be used by our marketing teams, by our brand teams. So we always make sure that we have good, proactive communication with them. They feel involved, they feel informed about the project, and they know what we are trying to achieve. And in doing that, we also make sure that we always stay relevant and adapt to their needs. So different teams, different brands across the world have different questions. There are always some new channels that might come up, new platforms from one market to the other. The marketing ecosystem is different. So by discussing this with the people that are going to use it and benefit from this, and being open to being flexible and always adaptable, this will mean that we ensure that we make something that is fit for purpose. And through that, there is, of course, an element of expectation management. So this is something that it's very likely to gain a lot of visibility within an organization. It certainly has a lot of visibility within ours. There are a lot of stakeholders from different areas of the business, from different levels of the business, coming with a lot of requests, with a lot of things that they want to include in this work stream. And also, in-housing something doesn't mean that all the challenges that existed before will go away. So as part of this communication, it's always key to be transparent and be really clear on what is feasible, what is not, what is part of the scope and what is not, in order to avoid disappointment and lower this engagement level.
So you've heard about the different routes you can take, some of the key steps and critical factors to have in place for the success of that journey, but which route might be right for you to take in that starting point between scaling across markets with a narrow depth of analysis or going deep in a few markets? There's a few ways we can think about that across the platforms and agencies that you use in terms of collecting data, in terms of your media and marketing partners that you use across the business and around the world, the different markets that you're operating in and the business models that they have and how or not they are different across different markets, and the analytics needs and the focus that you have as a business. So from a platforms and agencies perspective, if you have common systems, if you have common sources of data or a few centralized providers of data around your different markets, If you have a common media agency around the world, for example, then you're already at a good place where any data process you put in place is going to be fairly scalable from the very beginning. If, on the other hand, you're a business where there's many different sources of data, many different systems in place for different markets, if you have different media agencies or a real range of partners that you're working with in different regions, then anything you do is going to be a lot harder to template as you go across, and it might make sense to start in a single market first. From a markets and business model perspective, how widespread is your profitability across the markets? If you have a very diversified business where actually there's no real standouts in terms of the markets that drive business results, or if you're in a business that has high dynamism in terms of the product launches that you're doing, in terms of the marketing activities that you're putting in place, in terms of the change that you're facing, you might want to spread across a broader range of countries quickly so that you can try and optimize and understand and control for that. On the other side, if you have a few core markets that really make the bulk of your profitability as a business, it's going to make sense to start in those first, to get it right there, and then to see the kind of more diminishing returns as you scale to smaller markets beyond that. From an analytic needs and focus, if you have very specific focus areas to tackle first, where you haven't really started on this journey and there's some core spend areas that you need to get right, such as media, which can, again, for a lot of businesses, that can be a good starting point. Starting with media and getting that right, and then scaling to other drivers of the business results can be a good start. If you already have good kind of individual analytics processes across individual drivers, but you need something that brings them all together in a more unified and holistic way, then again, you might want to start with a few core markets, get the integration across all the drivers right, and then template that approach and scale it across other markets as you go. So naturally, that kind of leads to, I think, the fairly obvious conclusion of what we're pointing to, of which route might be right, depending on the kind of two extremes of business model and different drivers that we're looking at here. So that's everything that we wanted to share with you today. Thanks very much for coming, listening to the session. If you do have questions, then we are sticking around after the session, so please do come up to us and ask us anything you have that you have to ask. You can also feel free to connect with us through LinkedIn and ask any questions that you have directly there. You can scan the QR code and it can take you through to the latest white paper we have, which goes into a bit more depth around in-housing MMO and how you might want to start on that journey. And if there are any econometricians or data scientists or data engineers that are looking for a new job, we're always recruiting as well, and happy for you to speak to me afterwards. So thanks very much for your time.